file sets can overlap, and we'll get into this. So yeah, you may have to merge, but yeah, the branches are completely independent. You'll see this. It's
Then specify that how you were talking about these.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the file sets, like you can have. Yeah, I mean, you may have merge issues if you have the same file name, and if single lines are conflicting, you may have merge conflicts. But you can, yeah, between the branches, you can have the same file name. And actually, I think in my example we won't have that. But yeah, they're now you'll have to, if you want to merge the two branches together, you'll have to go through merge, and you may have conflicts. Anyway, so let's, so this is a very simple calculator. It just prints out some numbers. We're going to have one branch that's called sum. That's for adding numbers together. We're going to have a different branch prods for multiplying numbers together. So let's just take a look. So I make a directory. I go down in there. I initialize the repository. There's nothing in there to begin with. One thing I like to, one thing I like to do is I like to have an empty branch, so that when I'm diffing between the branches, I can say, well, what is the difference between this branch and essentially a branch that has nothing? So I will create there's a get ignore file. I suspect there's similar things in SVN or whatnot. This is the list of files that you want Git to always ignore, to not put under version control under any circumstance. So it might be like .out files, .o files, things like that, random binary files. But I just go ahead and create an empty git ignore file, and then I do a commit with really nothing in the repository at all. I'll put a tag on it. It's just a null tag, and it's signifying that there's nothing in there. And then I'll list the branches that I've got with branch minus VA. V is verbose, A is show me all of them. And that will show that I've got my first commit. I've got master is the name of the branch at this point. And if you'll notice over here, this is coming from that git completion script that I was talking about. Right? You'll see master. That indicates what branch I'm on. It's very useful if you're working from the command line.
What does the tag do for you?
Tag just, it's just a naming convention. All that it does is associate, like that hash, that 4B14CA0. It's a shortcut to that hash. So tagging is very useful. You want to do it, like say, if you do a production rollout, you want to tag that version. Let's say, this is production on June 25th or whatever. So it's very convenient. Let's see, now, and you'll see I was on the branch null. Now I'm going to check out minus B. This is one thing. Check out, if you're like me and have kind of an RCS legacy, check out means that you check it out and you've got a lock on the file. That's not the case here at all. To me, checkout, I think it's more appropriate to call switch to. So what you're telling me is I want to switch to a new branch, and the minus B means create a new branch. So I'm switching to a new branch called sums, and that's going to be where we add our numbers together. Now I add the first line to my sums.php, and let's see, then I do a git status. I use git status a lot, so that's, at least for me, this is probably a command you'll use a lot. Now Git will tell you if there are untracked files there, and the one untracked file is sums.php, so I want to add it. I'll tell Git to start being aware of this file, and for every new file that you have to add, that you want to place under version control, you have to add it, and then I'll commit it. And now, one thing that's, again, you'll see here, this is from the Git completion script, you'll see a plus there. That indicates that it has been added to the so-called staging area in Git, and we'll get to that in a minute, but at least when I work, I look at the branch I'm on, and I look at the status quite a bit. Have things been added to the index or the staging area, and so I think that get completion script is really quite handy if you work from the command line. So now I'm just adding an additional line to that file. I check the status, so it's changed, but it hasn't been updated. Now I add, when I add, what this does, and hopefully I'll get to an image on this soon, but in Git there are sort of three states that you can be in. There's the uncommitted changes that you've got in the file system. Then you've got staged changes, and I think Git is rather unique in this respect. You've got so-called staged changes that they're tentatively okay, but they haven't been committed. And then there's the final commit point. So when I add, what I'm doing here is I'm saying stage the changes that I've made to that file, put it in the index or the staging area. And it hasn't been committed yet, but, and this you really don't have to worry about. Hopefully I'll make that clear, but I do want to indicate that there is a staging area, and we'll talk about that a bit more. So now if I do, so now I add another line to the file, and now I'm going to make my commit.
So did you have to add, even though you already had some.php, you had to re-add it, is that correct?
Right, what I'm adding, yeah, so one, if you have a new file, you have to add it.
Right.
If you say go in there and, add a space to the file, or, there you have to add the changes. So you have to tell Git that, and so that moves it from unstaged change to a staged change. And now, and if you'll notice, like before I had a commit, now I'm doing a commit -a. Here I'm saying, and for the most part, I don't want to get to, at least if you're just starting with Git, don't get too hung up on this. Whenever I do commits, for the most part, I would say 80–90% of the time, I just do commit -a, which means don't even stage it, just go directly to committing it. And so here, like here I wanted to show that you're staging an addition, you're staging a change, and here I'm confident that this is correct and I want to commit it. So I'm just going to say, skip the staging area and just go directly to a commit. And you'll see here the actual commit message. And like here, you'll notice maybe it's too blurry, but before I had a plus. After I added this, I get a plus in terms of the status. Here, I've got a star indicating that it's dirty, that I've got both additions and unstaged changes. So I'm just saying at this point, be aware of the, if you've got a plus or an asterisk that the completion script is giving you. So,
Question?
yes.
When I push something to stage with add, are other developers able to see that?
No.
Check out.
This is your repository. Until you start pushing or pulling or fetching, nobody will ever see that. So that's all local, yes.
And the Dutchess line will not replace the added command, you're actually adding it.
If you had previously added it and you use a -a, it won't hurt. I mean, if you're ready to commit, if you've got unstaged changes and you're ready to commit, use the -a. And in fact, I mean, to make it easier, I just use -a all the time, basically.
Yeah, but yeah, that doesn't mean it. You don't get the shortcut to the added.
Okay, so now I'm just adding another line. Let's say that I add another file, and this is a file that I don't want to stage. That somehow it just got in there. I just want to give you an idea of what Git status will